Okay, let's talk about vaccines. What are vaccines? How do they work? Now, I'm hoping that by now you've kind of got an idea of how a vaccine might work. So we're at the bottom of page 3 at the moment, and we should have filled in all of our stuff about different types of immunity. So what are vaccines? How are they going to work in our body? So you need to understand it's not really a dot point, but you definitely need to know how they work. I can put it under this one. You can put it under the next one that talks about vaccination programs. But ultimately, we need to talk about vaccines. So this is a video, and I am going to link to it. And hopefully there's a little link here. And if there's not a little link here, it should be the next video in the playlist. It's a really great explanation of how we developed vaccines, and I'll be showing it to you in class as well if you don't have time to be watching it now. So, let's move on and talk about how we can develop a vaccine, or what's the purpose of a vaccine. So the purpose of a vaccine is that we allow the individual to produce their own antibodies against the disease without having to get it. Yeah? Because you don't want to have to get sick to develop memory against something. So what we do is we give them a form of the pathogen that is dead or weakened. Yes, and I'm going to talk to you about the different types of vaccines. Never been asked on the different types, but these are the two ways that I say. So you get injected with something that is either dead or a weakened version, or just the antigens on the surface of it. So if you give someone the antigens, what is their body going to do? Yeah, hopefully you're going to say a macrophage is going to come along, it's going to engulf it, it's going to present that antigen on the surface, it's going to be an APC now. That APC will present it to your T helper cell. Your T helper cell will then activate your B plasma cells to develop antibodies against that. As addition to that, you're going to be developing some memory B cells. Now, they're the important things. Yeah. So those memory B cells are the point of this vaccine. You inject yourself with something, you end up with memory B cells. That means that the second time you're exposed, knowing what we know about the second exposure to a disease, is you get that faster and greater response in the production of antibodies, because all those memory B cells can quickly proliferate into memory B plasma cells and produce multitude of antibodies to prevent you getting sick. All right, so we're going to go through the first two types, and then I'll show you some examples of different vaccines, and in particular there's one that I'd like to talk to you about. It's the Fluvax. It's quite contentious, but it shouldn't be. So the first one we're going to talk about is a live attenuated vaccine, and then we're going to talk about an inactivated vaccine, because these are the two main types. There's the third one's the subunit and the toxoid. If you want to go into your book and read up on them, you're more than welcome. Again, I've never seen you asked a question on subunit or toxoid, but it's quite interesting to know what they are. So having a look at this one first, it's a live attenuated vaccine. So what it is here, and what the key with this one, is that it is weakened. So it is not completely dead, but it's weakened. So because it's weakened, it shouldn't be able to cause disease. So it cannot cause disease in a person with a healthy immune system. You would not be giving this to someone that is immunosuppressed. Bad idea. Now, what it does is you get that immunological memory as a result of having this vaccine. But with this one, the big key is that it is a weakened form. It is not completely dead. As opposed to that, you get an inactivated vaccine. So again, these pictures are just kind of there to illustrate the point. You can see here live attenuated and whole inactivated look very, very similar, but you can see that the weakened form might be the fact that we've damaged its structure slightly, so it's unlikely to be able to do its normal cellular processes. Whereas with this one, it looks like the whole virus, but usually we've taken out any bit that makes it possible. So what we might have done in here is we might have removed any DNA or RNA from inside it. And if you remove those, then it can't reproduce. But what you are exposing yourself to are the antigens. So these are the pathogenic antigens, and that is all your body needs to form memory. So with these guys, with these inactivated, they are killed. Yeah, They are definitely not alive. And so this is really, really safe to use with people with a weakened immune system. This is the flu vax. The flu vaccination is an inactivated vaccine. You cannot get the flu from the flu vax. This is why those people that talk about, I don't want to have a flu vaccination, I got really sick afterwards, it's not the flu. You will not get sick with the flu with a flu vaccination. What you might get sick with is something else that is opportunistic, that is hopping around at the same time. While your immune system is hyper and trying to deal with the flu vax, the flu antigens, then maybe something else slips in and starts to replicate before your immune system can handle it. But it is not the flu that you get with a flu vaccination. All right, here are some examples of some live vaccines and some live vaccines that you may have had versus the killed or inactivated ones. There are also some toxoid and some fraction vaccines. So these are ones that are just like parts. Yeah, these are your subunit ones. Over here, the toxoids are generally just the toxins that are made by that particular pathogen, and the recombinant vaccines are a new brand of vaccine that we've got here. But let's just have a look, and you might want to add some of these to your live attenuated box. So you may have had measles, mumps, and rubella. Yeah, this is a live attenuated vaccine. I know because my son is going through his vaccination schedule at the moment. He only received this one at 12 months old. And that's because before 12 months old, if you give a child a live attenuated vaccine, then there's a big chance that they might get sick. Yeah, because it's still, their immune system isn't quite strong enough. Now, I want you to notice here we have intranasal influenza, and then over here we have intramuscular influenza. The intramuscular influenza is your flu vax. Okay, that's the one, it's an injection into your muscle. The intranasal influenza is a nasal spray version. So if you got that as your vaccine, yes, you may get the flu or some symptoms of it, but we don't do that. Yeah, most of the flu vaccines that we have are these intramuscular ones. Things like pertussis as well. So pertussis, its other name is whooping cough. So any people that are exposed to small babies should have their whooping cough vaccine. Now, you girls got it in, I think the last one is year 10. So you're fine. You are definitely vaccinated against pertussis. Same with tetanus. You've already been vaccinated against tetanus. But these are part of some of those big vaccines that we talk about. Now, this one here, there's only one live vaccine and we don't really use it. Do you know that video that I asked you to watch, or that we've watched in class? That is what Edward Jenner did to his little boy. Yeah, he scratched them and he gave them the variola, the smallpox variola vaccine. So we don't get that in Australia because we don't have smallpox in Australia anymore, due to the fact that we've established a great vaccination program a long time ago, and so it's just gone. Smallpox is just completely gone out of our society. And so that is my bit on different types of vaccines.